So, Super Tuesday yesterday, and this morning we now understand Nikki Haley has decided to get out of the race for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination, and this will essentially mark the end of her challenge against Donald Trump. Her announcement coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. In the meantime, former President Donald Trump dominated, as expected, the Super Tuesday primaries, marking, really, Kevin, another victory in the Republican side of this race for President of the United States.
Yeah, Tom, the big headline, Biden loses in American Samoa, Trump loses in Vermont, and then all that's out the window because Nikki Haley drops out, and that is really the big story of the day because now you have Trump v. Biden, which we kind of knew all along, but Nikki Haley hanging in there and hanging around. Now she's out, or she will be at 10 o'clock. Let's bring in Dave Dulio, Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Political Science, Professor at Oakland University. Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, guys. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here. The announcement expected about 40 minutes from now. What does that mean with Nikki Haley stepping aside?
Well, as you said, it's now Trump v. Biden, and really no surprises except for the two that you mentioned, Kevin, in those two contests, one on each side yesterday. But, you know, it just gets us one step closer to the inevitability of this general election rematch, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, the presidential election that very few Americans are really looking forward to.
What do you think this means for Nikki Haley moving forward? Is there a spot for her in the Republican Party? Does she leave politics and become a TV analyst or run a nonprofit?
Well, that's a question for former Ambassador Haley. But look, I'll put it this way: if she can't find a place in the Republican Party, if the Republican Party can't find a place for her, then they're in big trouble because the Republican Party needs voters that supported Nikki Haley to win nationally, and they need those voters to win statewide. In a place like Michigan, where where the Trump wing of the Republican Party just isn't big enough to carry the day statewide.
Yeah, so how do you do that? I mean, that's true. The base is not big enough for Donald Trump. You got to appeal to the independents. You've got to appeal maybe to even some Democrats. Although, Dave, I did see numbers where I think 10% of people that voted in this country for Joe Biden in 2020 now say they want to vote for Donald Trump. Do you know who might be in that mix? Are those all Democrats, or are they kind of a mix?
I think those are your proverbial swing voters, right? I think, and we know this from exit polls and other data that we have from 2016 and beyond, right, in the Trump era of politics, that there are plenty of voters out there who in 2016 were willing to give Donald Trump a chance, and they did, and they voted for him. But then they ran away from him in 2018, which allows, of course, for candidates like Gretchen Whitmer, Jocelyn Benson, Dana Nessel, et cetera, right, Democrats to do really well in places like Michigan. And of course, in 2020, many of those folks supported Biden, but now they're giving it another look. And I think, Tom, you're seeing the same polling I am that shows that Donald Trump has more higher favorability ratings now than Biden, and people look more fondly upon Trump's time as president, than they do Biden's.
So what is it? I mean, is it just his personality? I mean, I think if he were to soften up, maybe become more Nikki Haley-esque in the way he discusses his policies, would that be effective enough to appeal to more independents and more, maybe some never-Trumpers might even kind of crawl out of their skin and give the guy a chance? Is that what it takes?
I think that ship has sailed. I think that the opinions about both Trump and Biden are so firmly baked in at this point that if he softened a little bit, I don't think that is going to flip a switch for the never Trumpers or they just say, oh, he's faking it and wait until tomorrow and then he'll be the same old Donald Trump.
You got turnout now, it seems to me like it's going to be huge. Who can get their people to get off the couch and go vote? We saw that there were these voters for no preference or non-committed, which seem to be Biden protest votes. How does Joe Biden get those folks to vote for him, to get out and vote for him, and not vote for Donald Trump? And the same thing with Nikki Haley voters. How does Donald Trump get them to go out and vote and to vote for Donald Trump?
Yeah, I think we're going to see negative partisanship be ratcheted up here until Election Day. And what I mean by that is, Biden is going to energize his supporters, not by talking about Biden, but by talking about Trump. And because nobody motivates Democrats more than Donald Trump does. And I think the same can be said on the Trump side, right? I think you're going to see their campaign talk a lot about and go after Biden's economic policies, the border, et cetera, but also you're going to start to hear, and we've already heard it to some extent, right, that a vote for Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris, right? Because I think that they're going to lean in on, that their assumption or their prediction that Joe Biden isn't going to serve, if he's elected again, a full second term, and you'll end up with President Kamala Harris.
It's going to be very interesting to hear what Joe Biden says Thursday night, and if he goes into a bit of campaign mode there, because we know he's got this new strategy. He thinks that Donald Trump is kind of sensitive when it comes to personal attacks against him, so he's apparently going to be going after him, calling him intellectually and emotionally unstable, and he's wobbly, and he's a loser. That kind of verbiage from Joe Biden going after Trump, is that possibly going to backfire on Joe Biden, do you think?
I think that if he uses that kind of language in a State of the Union message where it's so clearly campaigning, I think that could absolutely backfire. That's generally not the place for that. And I think too that this speech coming up tomorrow is such a high leverage moment for this campaign. If Joe Biden gets through it and does a nice job and is consistent and comfortable in his delivery, well, that might start to make people who are maybe a little doubtful of his stamina or his capacity, that might make him feel a little better. But if he stumbles or has some speaking issues like we've seen in the past, that is just going to feed beast of he's not ready, or he's not ready for it anymore. He's not fit to serve another term. So I think there is going to be a lot of focus on delivery and sort of his performance, if you will, tomorrow.
Michelle Obama said she's out of it. She's not running. If Biden does fine tomorrow night, is the conversation about a need to replace Joe Biden on this ticket coming to an end?
For a couple days.
Until we see him again.
Right? I mean, this is going to be it's going to be present with us for months.
Yeah, you're right. We're in full-blown campaign season now. It's kind of earlier than we expected to be in the general, but that's where we find ourselves. Dave Giulio, always appreciate the director of the Center for Civic Engagement and political science professor at Oakland University. Thanks so much, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Do the same thing.